pass along information and do other things about the National Football League. And let's begin with the Everson Griffen trade. Of all the teams out there that I would have thought may have been in on Everson Griffen, the last on the list, maybe one spot above the Vikings, would have been the Lions. But the Lions are 3-3. Don't look now, but the Lions are contenders. Don't look now, but the Lions threw a conditional 6th-round pick to the Cowboys to get Everson Griffen off the books. Don't look now, but the Lions, I think this is the first time the Lions have made any type of an all-in move since Barry Sanders retired. Chris?
I mean, I can't really remember them making any moves, in recent history, certainly. And again, hey, they're hanging around 3-3. We've seen them flirt with beating the New Orleans Saints, certainly. Could have beat Chicago week 1. Probably should have, right? So you sit there and you look at it from their perspective. They're going, wait, we're close to being in this thing. We're not giving up quite yet. And I think one of the big issues they have on their defense in general, they don't have playmakers. They got a lot of big people up front, but other than Trey Flowers, who's been a little underwhelming as a pass rusher for what they've paid him like a top-tier pass rusher in football. I think they realized if they wanted a chance to make a play at this thing, they needed to upgrade their front four a little bit and be able to, hey, it's 3rd down, we can get after you a little because Patricia likes to play coverage. So I understand it from that standpoint, and you're right. I mean, we're kind of sleeping on the Lions, but they're quietly kind of just hiding under the radar there.
And, the Seahawks are the team that we would have immediately pegged as someone that should be trying to get any help that it can at pass rush. And there was a point in the offseason where Everson Griffen was linked to the Seattle Seahawks. And if it's conditional 6, if that's all it takes, I'm assuming that Jerry Jones, who is a master of negotiation, would have at least tried to get the Seahawks to the table. What do you care if you trade him to the Seahawks? You're not competing with the Seahawks to win your division, just like you're not competing with the Lions to win your division. If anything, to the extent that you hope there's a way to get a wild card berth, you should be more concerned about the Lions than the Seahawks anyway. I just wonder, were the Seahawks in this? Because at the end of the day, you're not talking about very much to get Everson Griffen for the stretch run.
No, it is not a lot. You're right. I mean, for a 6th-rounder, I mean, wow, that's basically, like you're saying, it's nothing. I will say this, though. The play has not been overwhelming or going to pop out to you about Everson Griffen. I know, what's he got, Mike? 2.5 sacks, something like that maybe, right around that range?
Yes.
But he is not a guy that is going to be brought in either to be a starter, I don't think, at this point. Maybe if a team starts the game out in 3 wide receiver, 4 wide receiver sets, and you go, oh, we're pretty confident they're going to come out throwing the football and doing those type of things. But, as far as every down playing and all those type of things, no, I think he's going to be a guy that's just going to be specifically about pass rush. And, he's not the same player he was a few years back. But I still don't understand Seattle maybe not getting involved in the conversation, or maybe they did and just they weren't willing to part ways with the 6th-round pick.
Yeah, that may have been what ultimately happened. At the end of the day, that's not what they want to do. They don't want to take on roughly $6 million.
I think that's what it is.
Combination of salary and per-game roster bonuses, and that was the motivation for the Cowboys to get rid of those numbers, because that $6 million now can be banked for next year when they're trying to sign Dak Prescott or otherwise put a team around Dak Prescott and try to be better than they are this year. Who else? Now that we have crossed that bridge and the Cowboys are selling off assets, and I don't think it's a fire sale. I think it's a calculated decision based on, here's a guy that we can do without, and we can create some cap space for the future, and it's not going to significantly undermine our ability to try to win one of the worst divisions we've seen in years. Who else would fall into that category? We heard a few names at the top of the show. Dontari Poe was one that was mentioned. Anyone that jumps out to you that the Cowboys should be willing to part with, Chris?
I mean, they got a plethora of wide receivers, so I wonder if they would got the right offer for, Amari Cooper. I don't know. Maybe is Amari Cooper on the table? I'm just throwing it out there for all the money he's making And then
that would be a stunner. They just signed him.
I know. Well, the fact that they have CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup and, Cedric Wilson, who's popped up many times this year. I thought a receiver position because they have like an embarrassment of wealth there. Now, I thought of that yesterday too.
Right. I thought, but Gallup's in the last year of his contract, and I think he's a guy you want to try to find a way to keep around.
That's what I would think. Yes.
What you're looking at, if you would move on from Amari Cooper, you would be facing an $8 million cap charge next year.
Okay.
But also avoiding a $20 million salary for next year. Now, that could be restructured, and, there's ways to kick the can, but you pick up $12 million in net cap space for next year. If someone would offer you, and I don't know that Amari Cooper's getting a first-round pick for anyone at this point, but last year Mohamed Sanu got a second-round pick, so who the hell knows?
That's right.
But if someone offers you a first-round pick for Amari Cooper and you can dump $20 million in salary for next year, pick up $12 million in net cap space, maybe you do it, Chris.
I would seriously think about it. I would. With a Cowboys team that we've seen here that clearly wasn't as good on paper as we thought. And there's major holes everywhere throughout the football team, let alone, like you're mentioning, the juggling of the salary cap issues and all that. And then, some of these guys, CeeDee Lamb's, he worked out. It's not a bust. He's going to be one of your top 2 receivers for the next 5 years, guaranteed. That's it. You don't even have to worry about it anymore. Michael Gallup really could fit into that role too. And, he's at a very manageable price right now, hasn't put up stats to be able to command a big payday when he does become a free agent. I mean, if the Cowboys were smart, they'd get out in front of that and try to sign him somewhat here in the near future. But Amari Cooper's the guy that came to my mind, Mike. He is. He's a hell of a football player. We know there are teams that have wide receiver needs out there. And I just wondered, okay, Cowboys, maybe they're chalking it up a little bit and going, let's play for next year. Even if we get in the playoffs this year and win our division, what are we really building on? Okay, hey, all right, we still might get in, but are we really that good? Who gives a damn? So I think they're starting to kind of rebuild as we speak right now.
There's another guy on offense.
Yeah.
And Shereen Williams and I kicked this around last night on PFTPM just as the news broke of Everson Griffen. Well,
I know.
Guy who got a big contract last year.
Ezekiel Elliott.
Not this year, but last year.
Right.
Now, here's the thing. Who's taking that contract?
Nobody. That's the thing.
Right.
I don't think anybody is, right? With the way he's looked the last 2 years and then the years he is in his career, as far as where he's at, I just have a hard time, right? At least I do, thinking that somebody's going to pony up, a pretty good trade value to get him or whatever assets to trade to get him and then also pay him that type of money. I mean, I would think Le'Veon Bell and anything like that would scare the hell out of anybody from doing those type of things.
By the way, Michael Gallup signed through 2021. All more reason not to let him go. Base salary of $750 this year.
Ooh, baby.
$920 next year. You don't trade him when you consider how good he has been. Yeah, Elliott is one that would be fascinating. If there was a team out there, if we could spin back the clock to 1989 and there was a team like the Vikings that was just a running back away from being a Super Bowl contender. All they need is
Herschel Walker.
Well, that's all they needed, and all they needed was to give up 3 first-round picks, 3 second-round picks, and a bunch of players, and it was just a disaster. I'm looking at the Elliott contract now. He's signed through 2026. Good Lord. It would be a significant cap charge next year for them to move on. A lot easier for them to move on from Amari Cooper, frankly, than to move on from Ezekiel Elliott, the way that deal was structured. So, look, I don't know how motivated they're going to be. But, that's the balance. Maybe you're not motivated until somebody makes you an offer for a guy that you weren't thinking about trading, but all of a sudden, hey, it looks like a pretty good deal, so maybe we will do it. What about the Lions?
Right.
Do we see them doing anything more? Is this really the start of an all-in play, or is it just kind of a fluke thing?
I mean, I wouldn't. Their jobs are on the line. Their butts are on the line. They got a chance, to make a little run here. When you look at their schedule, I know they got the Colts this week. Okay, yeah, I'm sure the Colts are favored by a little, but we've seen the Colts, trip and stumble this year. But after that, when you go Colts, Vikings, football team, Carolina Panthers, then the Texans, and then the Bears again, I mean, that's favorable. I don't look at that schedule for the Lions and just go, damn, they're out of it. I go, whoa, they could end up winning, 3 to the next 5 games, 4 to the next 5 games, and all of a sudden we got a different view of them. Maybe.
I guess that doesn't count as PFT bingo when he does.
I don't know. It doesn't seem like it does. Not to your extent. It's only when you do it. But, Mike, I don't know. I think I can't imagine maybe another DB. If there was somebody out there that was, worth it, maybe they would get a top corner. They're always looking for cover corners out there. And then maybe still another difference maker up front, if that opportunity presented itself.
Oh, the Belichick approach is grab a guy who's in the last year of his contract so that you get potential compensatory draft pick consideration if he leaves as a free agent after the year. So you give up, a 3 or a 4 to get a guy, and if you don't keep him, depending upon how old he is and a lot of other factors, including how many free agents you sign next year versus how many you lose, you could end up getting back some of the draft capital that you gave up to get him. That's one of the things Belichick is very, very big on doing, and Matt Patricia, the coach of the Lions, was with Belichick for years. So that's part of the analysis. Guys getting toward the end of a contract with no real expectation they're going to stick around in the city that they have been. That is something that could happen. And remember, today and tomorrow are really the hot spots
big days
for trade activity if you want a guy to be available in Week 9. If you wait until the deadline next week of Tuesday, the guy's not going to be available come Sunday, just like Everson Griffen.
Right.
Deal was done Tuesday. He's not available this week. His first game for the Detroit Lions will be Week 9 at the Minnesota Vikings.
Whoa.
He was going to play him anyway with the Cowboys.
Yeah, right.
But what an introduction to the Lions. Hello, Minnesota. I'm coming back to see you. And look, the guy's been a great leader. I still think he's got some gas in the tank, and clearly the Lions do as well.
Yep.
But interesting development yesterday that the trade went down and that it happened with the Detroit Lions, not the Seahawks or another contender that is more of an immediate top of the stack. This is a team that's going to be in it, and this is a team that could use some help.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.